Hello, welcome to our second podcast, the FTS podcast, Friends Talking Shop. I'm your host, Dave, and before we kick off, I will say hello to my other hosts. But when I say I'm Dave, I'll also talk about my mood. I hate everyone this morning because my Packers lost, so I just want to get it out there right up front that my mood is terrible. But I'll introduce my second host, Josh. Josh, how are you doing, and how's your mood?
Hello, hello. No, good. I'm doing all right. My Eagles lost last week, so I've already gotten over it. I didn't have any expectations.
Did you just take Gary Delabate's tagline?
I did.
Hello?
I did the double
Wow.
hello.
Okay.
I wanted to, and it was more to see if you would recognize it, Omar. And you did. So well done.
You got it. Well, maybe is that a trademark now? That'll be
Howard Stern reference.
No.
First one.
I
All
haven't
right.
figured out my trademark yet. I'm going to be auditioning these hellos over time, so we'll see. Maybe
Well-
all the listener can write in the comment section if that's a thing, and tell us what trademark.
No,
Yeah.
they want us to say goodbye with their audience.
Crowdsource your hello. That's not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea,
Omar,
right?
and why don't you say hello in your patented fashion? How's your mood this morning?
I don't understand this whole mood question. This is a whole millennial question, I guess, right? I don't care about your moods. We're here to get this thing done and be interesting. And
Well,
by
I'm
the way,
gonna.
you say that your mood's bad about the Packers. Like,
Yeah.
what does that even mean? Like, have you ever broken anything watching a football game? Like,
Yeah.
what's the worst thing you've ever done? Like, because out of your moods.
Yelled at my children. Alienated my
Ooh.
children. Yes.
Ooh.
What?
Made them leave the room. I've left the room. They no longer like watching football as a result of it. I've traumatized my kids. Yes.
Wow.
So
Wow.
is that so? There you go. I'm in a bad mood. And if
Are
they
your
listen
kids
to this
still Packers
podcast,
fans? Or they don't like the Packers?
they don't like me, I think.
That's
Because
for
of-
them and their therapist to figure out, Omar. Now that Dave has put them in that situation.
That's right.
God.
Well, let's kick off this podcast. So, in our podcast, Friends Talking Shop, we each come up with a topic that's on our minds, and we discuss it and kind of solve the world's problems, really, if we kind of break it down. And if you listen to our last episode, we solved a lot of problems, one of which is that we determined that nurses are heroes, which is strange
are.
because I listened to the audio again, and it almost made it sound like we said they weren't heroes, but I listened. Something was bad with the audio. They are heroes, so I'm
Indeed.
glad we got that figured out.
Except for the Joker in Batman.
Yes, he was a bad nurse. Yes,
There's exceptions to everything.
How did he sneak in that hospital anyway with all that stuff on his face? Nobody was like, "What's going on? Where did he come from?"
Are you jumping the gun here on topics? Are you just
No, I'm just asking. It just popped in my head.
yeah.
All right, listen. Stick to format, Omar.
All right, we'll go back to format. So I'll go first this week. So my topic is something, Josh, you and I have talked about in the past, and
Okay.
it is relate to football because I'm on the next day, the day after of my Packers losing in a terrible way. And if you want to hear me complain about the Packers, I have a separate podcast about that. But we once posed a question to ourselves: if we had the choice between our football team winning, our kids playing sports winning, or us ourselves playing in a sport and winning, which would we choose?
Yeah.
I've asked this question to a lot of people, and what I recall is that we both instantly said number one, and it wasn't even close, was our football team winning.
Yeah.
And I want to discuss that for a second. So, well, first I wanted to get, is that still true for you, Josh? And I'm curious, Omar, what your thoughts are.
So for me, it still is definitely true. There's no question about it. But the gap is definitely smaller. But I think when we originally had that conversation, my team, the Eagles had never won a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't even know what that was like. It was like a whole nother experience that I just couldn't even tangibly put my hands on.
It's actually on video.
Yes, it is on
Yeah.
video. So now that it's happened, believe me, it was unbelievable and just
Yeah.
remarkable. And that is unbelievable used correctly, by the way. But I would still want that feeling again before either of the other two options. But the gap is tighter.
So, Omar, I know you didn't.
No, I have a lot of god kids. I mean,
Yeah,
listen,
so-
I don't like when kids win. I don't think it's a good thing. I think there are too many winners, and I think the kids need to learn failure and humility and not winning. So I want them to actually have like a thick spine and not really achieve anything until much later in life. So that's definitely not on the table.
Can I tell you something, Omar? It's funny you say that because when I was in college for a summer job, I was a camp counselor at a day camp. by the way, it was the shittiest day camp ever. I won't mention the name, but just a shitty day camp. I mean, it was awful. And they literally had fields, and that's about it. And period would be like, go to field 1, go to field 2. I'm like, this is not. Where's all your stuff? Where's your canoeing and all that other crap? But anyway, and I think they had a goat, so you could pet the goat. That was exciting. But I was a camp counselor.
Were you in jail?
Yeah, it might have been juvie.
Strict hours.
But my campers were the worst. I had the worst set of campers, and 2 of them were named Dylan. So that was your first clue. And these kids they were 7, by the way, 7 or 8 years old. They would tell me to fuck off. 7 or 8. It was ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. And these kids, they were playing. We had street hockey set up in one of the cement lots that was another quote unquote field, and the one team is kicking the shit out of the other team, and I grabbed the stick and I played for the other team, and I just made the other team lose. And these kids were really upset because these kids, they always ganged up on the other half of the bunk, and they had never lost to these kids. And I go right back to what you just said. Kids need to learn to lose because they get too many participation trophies. Everything's a tie when you're that age, and they need to learn what it's like to lose and know how to handle it. Was that wrong of me?
No. That's exactly what I mean when I say that.
But all right, so you've given a fourth option. Clearly, other people's kids are last. I care about other people's kids the worst, especially ones that curse me. I that's an easy fourth place.
I don't care about any other kids other than my own. When you get those stupid Christmas cards with the pictures of other people's kids, I don't. What am I supposed to do with this? I don't want that.
Yeah.
But my wife hangs it on the wall. I'm like, I don't want to see pictures of other people's kids.
Well, that's what Instagram is a daily Christmas card.
It is what Instagram is. It is. But if I did, I would be friends with you. I don't need all these cards of other people's kids I haven't seen in forever. It does nothing for me.
Well, but what about your kids? Do you care if they win? I mean, so you would rather see the Eagles win though before your kids? So the kids are invested in a sport. They played all season. They're in the championship, and someone says to you right now, you have a choice: the Eagles win the Super Bowl, or your kids will lose the championship. You would say, sign me up for another Super Bowl.
It's a no-brainer. It's the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Omar?
Yeah, I mean, I've had the Ravens win, so I've never been so happy in my life. Although honestly, it was the worst experience I've ever had because I had 2 tickets to the game, and then one of my clients, I wasn't dating anybody, shocker. And one of my clients is like, I'm like, I'll take a girl, there are a couple of girls I was hanging out with. One of my clients goes, I have the perfect girl for you. You're going to love her. And I go, okay, great. So long story a little short, we met the day on the way to the Super Bowl. It was a blind date. I took her to the Super Bowl. I picked her up in Midtown in Manhattan. She breaks the trunk of the Uber. She's not attractive. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm taking this woman to the Super Bowl in Louisiana, New Orleans. So I was with her for 3 days. She didn't shower once. It was the most awkward experience, and I still can't believe I took her to the Super Bowl. But in spite of that, I still had the time of my life. I was high-fiving everyone in the stadium, and that was a blind date.
Omar.
Yeah.
You're from Baltimore.
Yes.
You're a lifelong Ravens fan.
Yeah.
You have tickets to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
You don't have one childhood friend that would want to share that experience with you that's also a Ravens fan?
For whatever reason, it didn't cross my mind. Also, this is a deeper topic. My childhood was fairly traumatic, right?
Oh,
so, I was the only brown person in a passively racist middle class neighborhood full of, all sort of white people who were, So it's kind of my version of Karate Kid, but instead of it's a little different. But I was always on the outside.
But everyone's in Cobra Kai except you.
Yes, that's the right.
Yeah.
Everyone, I couldn't get in, which is why I'm sort of I think I just like being alone because I know I can never let myself down. But again, deeper topics.
Yeah.
What's even more amazing is you opted, after that experience growing up, you opted to go to basically an all-white Southern college.
I know.
You put yourself right back in the soup.
And my pledge name was Saddam. Like Saddam Hussein.
No, I get the reference.
It's true. It's true.
So the happiest experience, I'd say I've experienced 2 Super Bowl wins. And I mean, I can't imagine being a Patriot fan where you had it's 6 or 7. If that feeling ever got old. So I want it to be special enough that I remember, like you could tell me, I remember plays from '96. I remember plays from 2010. I talk about it all the time. I have vague memories of playing sports myself, but yeah, nothing really compares to.
You know, actually, you know what? I have a very easy explanation for this, and you guys are usually, both of you together, even together, quite myopic sometimes. But like when I say this, you're gonna be like, you're right. When let's say my team is winning and I'm running and I'm the goalie or I'm the forward or whatever, and we're winning, that's great. Let's say my kids' team's winning and they won the championship, that's great too. But when I talk about that, whether it's specific to me or my kids, to my friends, nobody gives 2 shits about either one, right? Yeah. I mean, one time when Josh had like 6 goals and 8 assists in the game, I made him walk me through everything because I was genuinely excited, and like it's nice to have somebody feel interested in your successes because nobody really cares. Like for example, Josh's wife has yet to listen to the podcast from last week.
Omar, I came home from that game on such a high because it was unbelievable. I had 5 goals and 1 assist. We won 6-3. It was the best game I've ever had in my life. And I came home, told my wife, and it was as if I just told her, hey, there was no milk at the grocery store.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So the point is, when the Packers or the Eagles or the Ravens are winning, you can talk to your other friends about it, and everybody identifies with them. So the journey is so. And when the win happens, Josh hugged like 7 people, again on video. Some of them weren't wearing shirts or clothes for that matter. They were painted green. And then Dave, I don't know what happens in Green Bay. Maybe you ate a bunch of cheese with people. I don't know what happens in the Midwest.
I was with Dave on one of the Super Bowl.
That's right. I was in Arizona.
Really?
Yes.
Yep.
We were at a Packer-Steeler, 2 bars in Arizona. There was a Packer bar, Steeler bar, side by side, through a huge party because that's who played in that Super Bowl, and it was amazing. And I'll never forget that. It was one of the best experiences in my life. And I think you're right. There's
communal,
a tribal.
Communal. Yep.
It's my tribe versus your tribe. It's like there's a community around it. But I think that's part of it. And the tribe of me and my kids, no one cares. That's right. So it is. But I think it's also the amount of time invested as well. Like if I think about,
that's true.
If I was an investment analyst on the Packers, I'd be job worthy. I mean, I've put enough time in to follow the Packers on every move that they've made and stories and the amount of research that we've done, the amount of time that's put in, that matters and on how much I care about whether they win or lose. Now, I've raised my kids. I suppose there's a fair amount of time that I put in them, but not in their particular sport. And honestly, they don't probably care as much if they win either. But my tribe really cares, and so I think that's the answer.
No question, that's the answer. There's no question. But by the way, and let me just cross my T's and dot my I's here. I do want my kids to win.
Yes, and I want to win.
Right, and I want to win. Exactly. Yeah.
It's an order. It's not.
Order.
And I want other people's kids to lose. I think that's
but that's the thing. Do you really want them to win? Like, don't you want them to fail and then have to, do the whole, like, what was that Dwayne Wade commercial where he's knocked down and get back up again? Whatever, N1, I forgot what it's called. But
if they were just winning every single season, everything they did, then I would agree with you, yes. But I don't know about you, Dave, but my kids are not winning everything that they're doing by leaps and bounds.
Right.
So,
I guess that's sports in general. Fair enough.
I don't. The one of all the issues, winning too much is not a problem our family is dealing with.
unless if your last name is Trump.
No.
Because then you get sick of it.
Always.
Yeah. Or Brady. Or that's exactly right. So I feel better. I mean, I watched the game yesterday and I feel like I'm way too invested in it. There are other things that are more meaningful in life. I'm starting to become more apathetic in my sports watching. I'm just announcing it now. It's a preview for my other Packer podcast. That's what but I think a little bit of my Packer fan has died last night. And so at least they're still probably number 1, but the gap is closed. I think I'm like,
well, listen, I would tell you this all the time, Dave. I have season tickets to the Eagles and I go with my buddy to every game. And every year, except the one, we always walk out of that stadium, the last game, going, it's the same conversation every year. I wish I didn't care this much about this.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this though, I have definitely matured because the way it affects me now is far less impactful than the way it used to. So it used to, like, a loss on Sunday, my whole week was ruined.
Yes, that's
Regular
right.
season loss. Regular season loss.
Yeah.
Regular season loss, my
Same
whole
way.
week was ruined.
Wow.
And I'd listen to sports talk radio more on a loss than I did on a win.
Right.
It was like I was punishing myself.
Yeah.
And I'd just go through the game, and I'd watch it twice, 3 times. And now it still affects me,
Jesus.
but it's not nearly what it was.
What were your lives? What is going on with you guys?
I same way. I don't know. I invested, my identity
Yes.
was wrapped up in my
Yes.
sports teams, and so when they lost, it felt like it was a personal
Yes.
injury to me.
Yeah, it was.
But I have matured now too a bit. That
Yes.
it's like, look, I got to put it in perspective.
Correct.
I cheer for jerseys. I don't even care for these people on an individual basis. There's some that I actively do not like on the team based on some of their views. And yet I care so much about them winning. I feel like I've put that in better perspective, but it still stings.
Yeah,
All right.
let's go.
That was my talk. Thank you for starting me through that. That was a little therapy for me. Omar, do you want to go next with your topic of the week?
Is it weird that whenever you guys bring up your topics, I'm like, these are stupid topics?
No.
Is that not healthy, or is that healthy?
You
No,
won't.
that's healthy.
You may not be surprised that we feel the same way about you.
Yeah, probably.
This is coming from the guy whose topic was, I don't like my dinner party meal.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I go into my topic, I got some some listener mail. I wanted to just read some of them to you guys.
I don't know we have a mailing address.
yes, we do. We do have a mailing address, which we will get to later. So the first message says, why does Dave and Josh talk so much?
That's a good question.
First of all, that's
how do I answer that?
Bad grammar. Why do Dave and Josh talk so much?
Well, I think they were trying to maintain anonymity. So it
Wow.
came into the blockchain. So I don't know who even said it, actually.
Do they understand the format of a podcast?
Yeah.
Is that speaking is required? Is that lost on this person?
The other one says, I just got two. I wanted to only have the ones that were like more supportive. Why can't Omar talk more? Those are the two messages I thought were most relevant.
They seem to go together. Yeah.
I now know why these listeners have our email addresses.
Okay, so my topic, actually, I had a few, but because of a conversation I had this week, I actually on Friday, I'm like, I have a new topic, and basically it's this. So I was talking to Dave, Josh. This is yesterday, I believe, or Friday. And I'm just telling him about how I have a performance coach, and he was like, okay, that's interesting. I'm like, yeah, it's interesting perspective. You basically have to talk to people and like give them feedback about how they could be a better version of themselves professionally, and this thing happened. And I was telling him about the whole situation and how this guy sort of charges fees, which is really interesting. And Dave thought that I was going to say to him, oh, I know what you're going to say to me. I'm like, what? He goes, well, you're going to say that you think that you could be a performance coach. I go, what? So in other words, I'm
That's
like,
where I thought this conversation was headed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, David, let me unpack what you just said to me. So you think that my ego is so big that I thought that I could become a performance coach with anyone. And he goes, yeah, I thought that's basically what I thought. So for me, Josh, it was difficult because I was like, if this is how Dave views me, where I have this giant ego and I think I can do anything, even with no expertise, like maybe because of what he saw happen during the Trump administration about people who were like promoted and put in positions that they knew nothing about. Maybe that's why he said it. I don't know, but I'm not a Trump supporter, whatever. Like
that's not it, but go ahead.
Yeah, but it kind of like just took me back a little bit. I'm like, wow, I've known the guy for 10 years. He thinks that I'm that clueless. I think I could become a performance coach and help people be better. So,
okay.
Bob.
So while Omar was doing this, I'm watching him order his latte and have it delivered to him at a library and a hotel. So let's just get the whole perspective of what's happening right now. So, okay, go ahead, Josh.
Listen, the first thing I'll say, and I'll go on 2 weeks in a row here of the podcast disparaging people again, but I'm going to do it anyway. Being a performance coach, not exactly a huge compliment. I view that as anyone could pretty much be it's a shyster. That's what a performance coach is. It's absolute junk. All right. There's no training for that or nonsense. And if there is, it's nonsense training.
He trained under Tony Robbins for the record.
Thank you. You just made my point. You made my point. It's a joke profession. It's really ridiculous. A performance coach is such an oxymoron. I mean, are you kidding me? What does that even mean? What do you need a performance coach for? This is a guy who's got everything going for him. I'm talking about Omar, who's living the life, whose Instagram is always in these tropical locations, who's doing really well, and he needs a performance coach?
Well, here's what I'd say.
You're the last person who needs a performance coach.
I don't know. Clearly, Josh sees my life through a filter that I provide the world. But there's so many demons. But I will say, if you guys could have someone whose job it was exclusively focused on making you the best version of yourself, not just professionally, but also personally, which would obviously lead to you being more productive professionally, whose upside is tied into that, that's their job. Because I can talk to you guys about my life, but honestly, I know after about a few sentences, maybe 10, 15 minutes, you guys are both tired of me hearing me talk about myself. You don't care. It's like you guys telling me about your kids. I don't care. I care, But it's kind of the same thing, right? So his only job is to be focused on me. And by the way, you're right about one thing. If you meet a performance coach whose clients are all deadbeats, probably not the best performance coach. If he's working with high performers, entrepreneurs, tech people, blah blah blah, which is what this guy does, I'm actually waiting for him to fire me. It's a good sign that he's honest on it, because he's obviously trying to pick the winners to work with.
Listen, he picks. Okay, hear what you just said? That just proves my initial point. Picking the winners to work with. Why do winners need a performance coach? This is just a thing that wealthy people.
You can all be more productive in how we process. Sorry, I mean to overtalk you, Josh. Finish.
But you see what I'm saying? This is the thing that wealthy people do to feed themselves. Okay, and I'm not putting you down, Omar, because I think you're awesome at what you do. I personally don't think you need a performance coach, but to me it sounds like you need someone who's there to just constantly pump you up.
No, it's more about how he works with I actually tried an app called BetterHelp or something, and which is you download it and then it matches you with therapists nationally. And I did this about 2 months ago. I'm like, I'll try it. And I bet
you could do that, didn't you?
And I matched. Yeah. I matched with someone. We had a video call, and it was, I want someone who can relate to what I'm trying to do to some extent or whatever. And it was a morbidly obese woman in Wichita. And I'm like, I can't. This is not going to work. So
why? She's very good. This is
I couldn't get past it.
About mental.
He couldn't. He reminded her of his date to the Super Bowl, probably.
He reminded me of Star Wars, honestly. If you know where I'm going with that. But I will say,
Beth, is that you? Remember?
Yeah, right. I already feel better. You might be the Super Bowl. Yes, it's a great time.
No. That's been put away, the Super Bowl memory. But my point is, this guy works with people who have a very who are builders as well. And one of the, amongst many other things, for example, how do you process conflict? How do you internalize it? And how do you go through? And it's really a skill, because it makes if it makes me incrementally better at what I do, and we'll see. So I've only talked to him 4 times. I want someone who's invested in me, who's we'll see where it goes, but I'm open to it. Josh, are you saying you're not open to it at all?
No, this is fluff. This is called fluff. This is what people like you do, because you just have to have something else, or you're just looking for something. It's you don't need this. You don't need this. You've done so well without this for so long.
Well, I would say that if I'm not getting utility from it, I can always cut it off. So I'm not lost into it, but I don't mind engaging this part of my brain. I think it's a good exercise.
Well, I think it's fair. You could be a successful person and be insecure at the same time. I had a boss.
Also be able to be much better, and not just more successful, but actually happier.
Sure.
It's about being fulfilled.
Or you could
actually, part of our conversations are about like what fulfills you. You have to like, and I'm like giving back. He's like, what's more important to you, significance or love and connection? I'm like, significance means like owning the biggest house, having the the best cars, and I don't care about that stuff. I love love and connection. Sorry.
You're describing a therapist.
Yeah, he's certainly part therapist, 1,000%.
I think that's another way of talking about therapy. I think that's right.
Completely.
But he doesn't have schooling. He doesn't have schooling of a therapist.
Listen, what does schooling matter anymore, right? I mean, look at the Trump administration. It doesn't mean anything.
Boy, that's your third reference to Trump.
I know. I'm sorry.
Schooling. Okay, hold on a second.
I will push out the dead horse. Go on.
There's a reason why there's schools for people to become psychologists, psychiatrists. There are techniques that have been proven over time. This guy is he's just an ego booster. He's a Tony. You said it. You summed it up.
No, he forces critical thinking. Dude, Tony Robbins is not. He's not some. I mean, so you're saying fundamentally you don't think there's any credence to what Tony Robbins teaches and prescribes?
Listen, I'm not saying that you don't get something out of it that's positive. You very well could, but I'm saying it's a placebo. Have you
ever done anything like that, Josh? Anything self-related? Have you, Dave?
Not a performance coach, no.
But anything. No. I mean, I guess you, Dave, like religion.
I have talked to people with like the purpose of trying to improve myself. Yes, and that could be friends, family. I'm sure there's therapists or two over time. But I have talked to people with the purpose of sorting things out.
You've talked to me about it, and and quite frankly, after a few minutes, I was dialed out, right? So you want to be with someone who actually is listening the entire time.
Well, I appreciate that. That's good to know. Well, Omar, let me ask you a couple questions. So you tell me yes or let me list some characteristics of a performance coach.
Yep.
And you tell me if I'm off. So this is someone who needs to be a good listener.
Yep.
It needs to care about your issues, right?
Correct.
Doesn't necessarily need training, but understands the way of like improving performance and thinking about these things.
Yeah. Yep.
And ultimately, if they do well, they make you a better person.
Yep.
And you're then offended that I called you one of these people?
Oh boy.
Because he knows deep down this is a fraud.
Yeah, that's right.
He knows it's an insult because I use this all the time. Life coach. The life coach model. It's ridiculous.
And that's where Omar really felt. He felt I was calling him a fraud.
Correct.
That's
yeah.
No, but in my defense of this whole thing, as we were talking about Omar, and if we're going to be real here, Omar called and told me a story about something I didn't care about either, but I usually always assume it's going to end up about something that he could do that's amazing or some girl that he's dating. That's how usually the conversation goes to. Yeah. And the performance coach came up, and I thought, well, he's either going to say he started dating this performance coach, but it sounded like a male, so I assumed that meant that he was going to go to the direction that he could be a performance coach. So I'm not really wrong with this.
Is that really what happened?
I think conversations go to one of those two camps. Am I wrong, Josh?
Oh, you are not wrong.
Oh my God.
By the way, he can be a performance coach.
Yes,
you and as can me. All for the low price of $69.99 of these 7 DVDs. Any one of us could be a performance coach.
Well,
I'm not.
Listen, I've gone to self-help things before. Like I went to the Hoffman Institute like 5 years ago, and it was impactful for me, and still is today, because it teaches you tools, Josh. It's not about imbuing or embedding some emotion that's supposed to last. It teaches you tools and critical thinking and more awareness of yourself. And those things I know to you are like, being a Philly guy, you don't understand these things, right?
But I don't want to get in touch with their feelings. It's too dangerous.
You are again describing a therapist. I'm not saying I don't go to therapy, but there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of people get a lot of great from it, as they should. It helps. But I'm just distinguishing a therapist from a quote unquote life coach or a performance coach or this. These are people that I guarantee if I'm going to if I'm a betting man, your performance coach tried 7 other occupations prior to becoming a performance coach. That's my guess.
No, he did not.
Wrong.
No, he worked in you know what the funny part is? His first name is the same, is literally the same as my last name, Naeem.
So is he a
Is he a real person, Omar?
is he-
Is this an imaginary person?
It's like Fight Club.
Yeah, I feel like there's something going awry here. But Omar, do you think you could be a performance coach? Seriously?
If I had the time to focus on it, because, I think so. I think it's probably, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
You
See,
don't- maybe-
maybe-
where am I wrong here? What have I done to wrong Omar?
Maybe you're right in your own little way. So I guess I have to take back. I can't even be offended anymore.
You
Wow.
just made my case. You made my
Yes,
case.
you did.
Well, no, I didn't say that. I think this guy is exceptional, and we'll see how it works. But I'm open to it. I'm open to having my mind. Like I'm open-minded about these things.
Does your performance coach have a performance coach?
Yes.
Okay, it's a pyramid scheme.
Is it you?
Is it you?
It's just one big circle.
All right.
I'll leave it at that.
All right.
I'll leave it at that. But you're no longer mad at me. You're no longer mad at me.
No, I'm not no longer mad at you, but I will keep you updated about how this progresses.
Okay. I can't wait. And all the girls that you're dating, which I'm sure will.
Which is why I was a little late on this podcast.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, ready to move on to our last topic?
I'm ready.
All right, Josh, lay it on us.
So look, I've been thinking about this, and I've actually jotted down quite a few topics that I want to go through with you guys over time here. But there was one that I really wanted to talk about, and I was all prepared for it. And then last week I had a dentist appointment, and it changed everything. And I went in for a typical cleaning, nothing unusual. Put in the chair, and the hygienist who was doing the cleaning proceeded to talk to me non-stop for the entire cleaning. Now, a cleaning, I don't know about your dentist. I've been going to this dentist for 25 years. The cleanings last like 45 minutes at this place. I mean, they are long. They are just painstakingly long. And my teeth are fine. It's not like I'm coming in there with tar, 3 inches thick on my teeth, and that's why it's lasting so long. And this woman, you're put in such a compromising position because she's got her fingers in your mouth, that little sucky thing, and she's just talking, and you can't talk back. You can't tell her anything.
Oh, she's not asking you questions. She's just talking.
She is, but it's like, so I jotted down what she told me, by the way, in the 45 minutes, and it's insane. She started off with talking about how wonderful my teeth were, and how it was a privilege to work on such nice teeth. It was very awkward, number one, and it also felt like probably what like Kim Jong-il goes through when he goes to his dentist. Superior, your teeth are amazing. I've never seen teeth, but I mean that's what it was at first. So I'm like, I'm going, because that's all you can do. It's the only noises you can make. She talked about water picks, how I should probably use a water pick, and do I want to use a water pick? Have I ever used a water pick? She talked about flossing, which I floss. Then she proceeded to talk about.
Wait, did she say that you should floss and you do floss?
I do floss. No, but she was just saying she was asking me if I floss.
Oh, okay.
It's the only noises I can make.
Yeah.
And then she's saying, oh, it's so important to floss and floss it. I mean, she just went on diatribes. She talked about yoga and her daughter's yoga. She talked about her husband's driving, how she can't stand being in the car with him while he drives because he drives so recklessly. She talked about this was unusual. There were streets in a county that's about an hour from us. And in this county, I don't know how the hell it came up. She brought it up, obviously, because all I can do is, and she talked about streets in the county. Oh, there's this street and this street. And it was like she was naming streets and talked about how she's driven on these streets. It went on. And blueberries. She talked about blueberries. She talked about townhouses. It was ridiculous. So here's the deal. So this is, and it drove me insane, by the way, because all I wanted to do when you're getting it, she would scrape my teeth, to get the plaque off.
Yeah.
And then each time put the little utensil in front of my eyes to show me the plaque.
Oh, that's no good. Yeah.
Like over and over. So I'm thinking,
And I know honestly, if Josh doesn't use a water pick, there's probably a lot of plaque on that thing, so it's not good to look at.
He flosses.
Let me tell you
No,
something.
but the water pick is really the main thing, which I do, by the
Omar,
way, which I swear by. Wherever I travel,
Omar,
I have a water pick.
I'm 47 years old. I just had my first cavity this last year.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Was that
ask
ingrained? Was that ingrained by your parents when you were a kid? Like, how were you so good about your teeth? I've never noticed your teeth, by the way. I mean, they're fine, but like, I don't. Your smile is. What's your smile like? Can you smile for? I don't even know if you have a good. Yeah, your smile's okay. A little gummy for me.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
Is that no good?
Yeah.
Is that no good?
Yeah. It looks like a
that's
grimace.
interesting. Because I had a ton of cavities when I was a kid, but I have a wonderful smile.
Listen, it's not.
I've been told this.
Yes, by your performance coach.
Yeah. Do you think you could be a dental hygienist, Omar? Do you think?
I can talk. If that's what if it's talking, yes.
Well, I think there's a profession to do both here. If you were a performance coach and a dental hygienist, you could kill two birds with one stone. That's actually not a. It could pump you up.
I have to say I'm a little bit of an anti-dentite, so I'm not sure if that would work.
Okay.
I'm not against the dentist. It's a pain in the ass to go, obviously. But I'm fine. They can do whatever the hell they want in my mouth. It doesn't bother me. I've had root canals. It doesn't bother me for some reason. I'm completely fine. But my point for all this is they have you in the most compromising position, and you can't talk back. And the last thing I want is this woman just talking my ear off. But there's nothing I can do to stop it. I want to.
Not true.
I'm screaming in my. Oh, I'd love to hear that in a second. But I'm screaming in my head. Shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Shut up. Shut up.
Oh, I have two.
Good,
I have two suggestions for you.
What do you do in that circumstance?
I have one is extreme and one is very easy. I'll give you the easy one first. Is you sit down, you say hello to the person, and you say, "Do you mind if I listen to music?" Boop, put in the earbuds and turn up the volume.
That is aggressive. I don't know how that would work because they need to talk to you. They do need to ask you certain things. Does this hurt? Can you feel this? They do need to do stuff like that. That's aggressive. I don't.
Well,
have you ever put in earphones for a dentist appointment?
Well, so that I do when I do this. The second solution is, which both my wife and I have done, and we're not proud of it, but we do, is we get the gas for just about every time we go into the dentist.
My dentist does not offer gas, but that would be nice. Yes.
For a root canal, you just get.
Well, root canal. I had gas, but I'm talking about just a cleaning. You can't get gas for a cleaning.
You can if you ask. And if you have gas and you're listening to music, for one, it's amazing. Yes. And two, it takes care of your other problem. It gets rid of all the conversation.
It really does.
But my dentist doesn't have nitrous.
I opt in for gas whenever I can get it. Like I had a colonoscopy and I had that done, and it's just you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Well, a colonoscopy, you're out. You're out for a colonoscopy.
Yeah, I guess that's more gas.
No, that's more. I think that's a drug that you're getting, either unless.
Or your dentist is into ass play.
Something else has happened that you've blocked out.
Yeah,
that's true. I will say when I woke up, my butt did hurt.
Something terrible happened there if they're using nitrous for your colonoscopy. That's not right. Yeah.
But I do have a solution, by the way. So this is what I'd like. This is what I think should happen. By the way, this story, I as this was happening to me, which was it sounds like, oh, Josh, you're complaining about nothing. It was painful because this woman it was incessant. There was not even a breath of air. It was just, I just wanted her to stop talking, please. And to have someone talk at you for 45 minutes and tell you, it's also nonsensical stuff. It wasn't even a good story that I could listen to going, oh my God.
That's really reckless. I mean, because you're really at her, you can't do I'm trying to think if there are any outs, and Dave was giving some, and I don't even know what you could do.
I think you have to be upfront about it. You listen, do you mind?
His mouth is open, and he can't really talk because
you got to set the guideline, the rules of the game ahead of time. You sit down. Nice to see you. Here's what's going to happen for the next 45 minutes. I need to listen to music. I have anxiety with the dentist. So I'm going to put earphones just to kind of distract me. Do you mind if I do that? Just tap me. Is that okay? Silly me. I get nervous with the dentist. That's what I would do.
That's actually not bad. But I have but this goes beyond the dentist to me. So I started thinking, this goes to like an Uber. This goes to any type of situation like that where someone could just talk your ear off when you want.
Yeah, but Uber, you can actually opt out through the app.
See, that's what I want. I didn't know that. Number one, you can opt out on conversation. That was my whole solution. That's so crazy that this is actually a thing now. You can. What I love, because everything's digital now. Even my dentist appointment is digital, right?
Yeah.
There should be a checkbox. Do you want to engage in small talk? And if you check no, they should see that before you get in an Uber, before you get in the dentist chair, before any situations like that. And they go, this guy does not like small talk. And that's it. They should know. Because it was so bad. My next appointment, I told them, don't give me this woman.
No.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's another good solution.
But that could hurt her career.
Right. I don't want to do that. But well, I can't sit in a chair for 45 minutes and listen to her blather about townhouses and her husband.
But you could tell her when you saw her next time directly.
No, like, I can't do that. Before. I can't do it.
I actually do it all the time because I really, small talk is like one of my most, I cannot stand small talk. So when I meet any kinds of salespeople, at the airport, hotels, and they ask me how my flight was, where I came from, and I'm like, I say to them, like, I'm so sorry, like, I've had a great flight, I'm here, but you don't have to ask me these questions, because they don't care about the answers either.
No.
Right?
No.
So I'm like, I know, I'm sure you're doing great, but please don't waste your energy on me. I'm perfect. I just want to get to my room and check in. But thank you again. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, that seems aggressive to me.
And not come across as an asshole.
You are an asshole. It doesn't matter. I know you think you're not an asshole, but they just wrote down right next to your name, asshole. That's what I don't want.
No, hold on.
You're getting dirty towels.
I always slip them, like $20.
You're still now you're an arrogant asshole.
No, they want to be tipped. Everybody wants to be tipped. I want to be tipped.
Everybody wants to be tipped, but you're right about that. But I can't get myself to say, please don't talk to me.
And by the way, yesterday I'm at I'm having lunch here, and LeBron James walks in with Russell Westbrook and DeAndre Jordan. Okay. And everyone's like, they have their own area. I'm kind of sitting next to them, but then it gets super crowded in this restaurant. And because it started raining, everyone came like in this one section where we all were. And so it's packed. And so the people who worked there love me so much, but they knew I wasn't feeling this, that I left and I went out through the back entrance. Like, and people assumed, of course, that I'm a celebrity because, how I dress and how I look or whatever else. So somebody said to me, "Are you somebody famous?" And I go, "Some people." That's what I said.
What? How did this come up?
My point is that the hotel took care of me because they love me. They don't think I'm an asshole. I'm part of their family.
Wait a second.
You've gone off the rails. Did you at any point did you tell these people to stop talking to you and small talk? That was
No. The whole thing, I brought it up because on this trip, no.
The hotel note has your name. They know you're not a celebrity.
No, other people who at the bar thought I was somebody famous because I was being shown through the back entrance.
That's the result of you tipping. That got you the special.
It's a result of me being a nice person, David. Remember, which I think is,
Yeah, you've completely missed the point that Josh is making. So he's trying to get people to stop small talking with him, not only in the dentist chair, but everywhere in life.
Not everywhere. So you know what should be? Here, I've changed my mind. It should not be, do you want small talk? It should be a checkbox of, do you want small talk? And if yes, it's got to be customer led. In other words, there's got to be a box of something where I check off that if I were to want small talk, I will initiate it. So look, I'm a talker. I like conversation. So if I'm in an Uber, sometimes I'll ask them questions about where I am. If I haven't been there before or I haven't been there in a long time, I'm initiating the small talk. What I don't want is for them to initiate the small talk when I don't want it.
Mm.
Like I think actually this is much more important than the option that Uber gives you, because you can always, when you're in the back of a car or the front with an Uber driver, you can always say to them, "Excuse me, I'm on the phone," right? You can actually opt out during it, but in the dentist, you're locked in because your mouth is full of stuff.
Locked in.
So you can't. So it's even more critical. This is actually a very good idea.
Thank you. And I would like this for almost everything. I would like this, anytime you make a digital appointment for anything, a hairdresser, you're going to get your hair cut, anything like that, where you are trapped in a situation you can't get out of, and it's one-on-one or whatever, it would be great if you could just check off no small talk.
But where does it end? I mean, I don't want small talk. I don't want to be touched. I don't want to. I don't want you to look at me weird.
Do you guys ever like small talk?
Wait. Yes.
Well,
yes.
Yeah. Friendly.
Example, you ever get a massage and they talk to you? That is the worst.
All right,
you want to do is relax. You
right.
just want to shut your eyes and relax and melt away. And they're just talking to you. Where are you from? What is your first massage? Blah blah blah. Like I don't want any of that. I want to check off. Do not talk to me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the asshole that goes, excuse me, can we please just not talk? I know that sounds like you're coming across nice, Omar, but you are immediately an asshole.
Yeah. It's an interesting point you're making. I think there's a way to, it's like, what's it? It's like threading a needle while you're skydiving, which there's a way to message it. It's very specific where you do not come across.
I don't like your new performance coach idioms that you're using now. I guarantee that was fed to you from the performance coach.
Yeah.
I've used that before. I've used that before. Actually, with you, I forgot what it was about, but it was something else that was also equally as ridiculous. But yes.
Well, I'm with you on the massage. Like that is, I think, small talk during that is like a very bad violation. Like that's aggressively going the wrong way. A dentist is a little bit more acceptable. So I'm thinking, and you want to make this mobile. I think you have like two hats that you wear, and one is like says no small talk on it, and the other is a regular hat. So you need a mobile version of that checkbox so that you can kind of openly advertise that you don't want to be talked to.
Here's the problem with the hat. Number one, you got to remember the hat. Number two, you have to take your hat off in the dentist chair. So they can't work with the hat on.
It's a terrible idea, Dave.
Number three, the hat says I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're getting around that part.
You get around that part with the digital. If I just click no small talk, then the person who books the appointment says to this hygienist, by the way, Josh is coming in. He prefer no small talk. And that's it.
Actually, don't certain dentists, I believe for me they actually offer you headphones, like where you can wear.
No. I don't know where.
Yeah, I think that exists though. And I think wearing headphones during your appointment is not crazy. They may ask is this hurt or not, but what is that? Like once they should be able to tap you on the shoulder to ask 2 questions during a cleaning.
No. They have to ask you. They do have to ask you certain questions. I mean, they do have to ask you like, are you flossing? Are you getting back here? I know, like for example, I have a little bit of gum recession, so I appreciated that.
We noticed.
Oh, gross. Yeah. You're a monster.
Gum recession, and it's on my left side, obviously, because I brush right-handed and I brush harder on that side. Yeah, and we're getting into too many specifics about my dental practices, but that's good information. The fact that her husband drives like a maniac and she doesn't want to live in a townhouse for whatever stupid reason she has, I don't need that information. And by the way, the dentist might be worse than the masseuse because at least with the masseuse, I can talk back. I could kind of give it an indication with my tone that I don't want this conversation. Do you know what I mean? If I give curt one-word answers with a certain tone, it's like, I don't want to talk. I can't do that with Mr. Thirsty shoved down my throat, sucking out my saliva and going, because I can't formulate words because the way she's scraping my teeth. It's even worse. She's got me in such a power position.
Yeah, she's abusing her power. Well, I got one more suggestion. I don't know if this can universally solve the problem, but what if you sat in the dentist chair and closed your eyes?
No, because I will actually do that sometimes because you know how that squirty thing, you get schmegma that flies out of your mouth every once in a while and it hits your eyes. So I do close my eyes.
I'm saying, close your eyes as I am leaning back and I want to just relax here. I think that would send a signal. She's talking. You don't open your eyes to acknowledge. That's a much subtler form of I'm not interested in talking.
Should I snore? Okay, I'm going to tell you something, Dave. If my eyes were shut and I snored, I don't believe for 1 second this woman would stop her incessant rattling of nonsense.
Plus, if you snored, you might pull some of that plaque down your throat. I don't know if that may end up backfiring on you.
Is that bad for you if you swallow plaque? That's another podcast.
Yes, keep that for the step one.
Anyway,
I think the answer is you got to be honest up front in a nice way,
No, I think he's
Yeah.
already destroyed this woman's career. I mean, he told her bosses that he does not want to have her treat him again.
But Omar,
She probably has like 3 kids. She's probably one of the parents from freaking Karate Kid, right? Who knows? But Josh could have just pulled her aside on his next visit and said, "Hey, listen, I love you, but just directly," and it would have been much better.
you're probably right about that. I can't get myself to do that. I just can't get myself to do that. But what might be good for her? And by the way, I think I might have saved her career. Let me flip the script on this. I might have saved her career because if there are people that don't say anything and then they go, you know what, I can't stand this. I'm just going to switch dentists for fear of getting her and being in the chair. If I say to them, listen, she talks. I really don't want her.
Did you say that? Did you say I want a different hygienist because she talks too much? Or I just want a different hygienist?
A different hygienist. I did.
Yeah, see, you didn't help her.
Yeah. That's a great point. Had I done that, they can at least say to her, but I bet you they know. I bet you they know. Because she's fine. She did a great job. I mean, that wasn't the problem. But I bet you they know. So all they have to do is say to her, hey, so-and-so, I'm not going to say her name, let me pull you aside. Hey, you got to stop talking to these. She even said, I forgot to tell you, she even said in the middle of her ranting, some people tell me I talk too much. And I can't go, yeah, no, I can't. And
then you open your eyes.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, everyone probably tells you that. She's even self-aware and she still does it.
All right, one last suggestion.
Please.
Do you think this woman tells the same story and same stuff to everybody who comes in?
I think
it's new material.
Yeah, she's lonely, I think.
I don't know. She has kids. She's married. So she's not lonely. She's not 7 cats.
Well, Josh, as you already alluded to from your conversation about your 5-goal game to your wife, your spouse typically doesn't care about your life. So you need someone to talk to.
Yeah. And can you imagine if Josh was a dental hygienist? You think he'd be quiet? He'd be telling every story.
Well played.
Yeah. That's my last suggestion is you could write an anonymous letter to the dentist office and say, to whom it may concern, I am a client, don't sign it. And I just want to make a suggestion that maybe your hygienist not talk as much. And then you're not pointing anyone out. You're making it aware. Maybe they read it and go like, that's a good idea. Maybe we should start asking when we do the long checklist, when we check new people in, we'll ask them, do you want small talk? Like you could initiate change through an anonymous letter.
You know what? I actually love that idea. And I'm going to do the letter by cutting out letters from the magazine.
Yes, that's better. You want the FBI finding you out. Yeah, that's right.
That's a great idea. That's actually a really good idea.
I think the anonymous letter should be used more often.
For the purposes of this podcast, I'm going to write that letter and then specifically request her at my next cleaning to see what happens.
Wait, how would that be anonymous then?
Because see if she gets it's still, well, I can, Then they're going to be like, oh, that guy wrote the letter.
Why are you blowing up this whole place? I mean, it's crazy. It's like you're trying to make them fail.
Yeah.
I've been there for 25 years. I've never had this experience with them.
You sent an anonymous letter, but you've already told them you don't want her, right? So now you've got to reverse this. So I
think if I was a dentist, I would have like a Hall of Fame board for my longest clients who ever had a cavity. You know what I mean? I think you should be acknowledged for that, Josh. At least when you're there. Oh my God, that's Josh Kaplan. He's had a cavity in 24 years.
That is.
I thank you. I thank you.
46 years, my friend. 46 years, no cavity. 47th year, cavity.
Wow.
I think I had cavities on my baby teeth that they put fillings in. Like I was born with cavities. I've had so many cavities.
Can I tell you something too? Why are we even brushing baby's teeth? I mean, you're getting the new set of teeth. These are going to fall out anyway. You don't need to take care of these teeth. It's not a big deal.
I suppose they could rot before they fall
can
out.
Rot.
Yeah.
It's a great point.
Yeah, it can rot. Gosh.
There are a lot of holes in your thoughts. Maybe a podcast is for you. You need to think through these things for a lot longer than a podcast allows.
I'm very good except for dental topics.
Well, I think I'm actually really curious. I want to see this letter thing through. I want you to send this letter, and I actually want to see a follow-up. And I kind of want to now try an anonymous letter to somewhere else. Maybe that's the subject of another podcast. Is we'll each come up with something we don't like. We'll send an anonymous letter, and we'll try to make change.
I think you have actually come up with a really good idea. The anonymous letter. I just don't want her fired. I don't want to ruin. I don't want her to.
Yeah,
be
it's just
hurt.
generally. Yeah, generally, I've had clean people my whole life, and I found that the small talk is really hard. Please do something.
Oh, you don't want me to.
Sign
You don't.
concerned
You don't
patient.
want me to name her in the letter?
I don't think you need to.
Okay. All right.
Can I tell you guys something happened to me yesterday on the way flying over here from Puerto Rico?
Does it have to do with dating?
No. I get hardy har. I get to the airport. I actually properly registered miles to come on the plant flight with me. And I get to the front desk at American Airlines, and they're like, "Sorry, sir, there's a problem." I'm like, "What's the problem?" Like, "Well, there are already 2 other dogs that are in upper class, so you can't have a third dog in upper class." And I go, "Well, wait a second. You're already laughing? The upper class thing, whatever. You know what I mean?" So I'm like, "Well, wait a second. You can't take more than 2 dogs, and if there are 3, I made a reservation. So with my dog. So and I go into my whole thing. I'm like, anyone can take a reservation.
Take a dog reservation.
You have to
Take
be
a
able to
reservation.
hold the reservation. And I get but I'm trying to make it up. I was a little frustrated. And they of course are, in Puerto Rico, I don't think Seinfeld's that big. So they didn't get the reference at all. But someone behind me started clapping, which is nice.
Did you have to check the dog in his luggage?
No, I had to sit and coach.
Oh, geez. Why
Just
don't
that coach.
Why didn't you just euthanize the dog so you could sit in first?
No,
class?
and by the way, and that's the point of the story was that I sat as an obese man who literally his arms were hairy and they're over. I was in the corner facing like the window. I had nowhere to go.
Ladies and gentlemen listening to this podcast, you've just heard my argument for performance coach summed in that story.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it right there. There's the guy. That's the guy who needs a performance coach.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
I rest my case. I rest my case on performance coaches, and all you're
No.
doing is just
By the way, I would say it actually helped me because another version of me would have been very frustrated with American Airlines. But I handled it actually, instead of getting like whatever, I just enjoyed the moment and like took a deep breath and like whatever. What's the worst thing? I'm still flying to Miami. Who cares? So I conflict resolution and process is an important thing.
All right.
Unlike Dave, I have no kids to scream at in order to vent. So I had to find other ways.
In case they listen, I do not scream at my kids.
Yeah.
I love my kids dearly. Well, I think that probably wraps up podcast number 2. We're digging in deep. I feel like by episode 10 or 11, we may be in tears. It could be like we could really dig deep here.
Yeah.
Other people could be in tears. Someone's going to be crying between now and episode 10. I have a feeling. But then we're also going to initiate change. We have an anonymous letter, and we're going to change Josh's dentist office for the better. I feel good about that.
I think we have a solution here, which is very, very exciting. But if you are crying, please put in the comment section Omar's performance coach contact information.
Yeah. We'll leave that in the show notes, of course. All right, well, we'll wrap this up. Thanks again, guys. I was in a bad mood when I started. I'm only slightly bad mood now, so thanks for digging me out of my hole a little bit. And enjoy watching football today.
See you
Go
later.
Ravens. Go
All
Ravens.
right. For Dave, Josh, and Omar, this is Dave, and we're out.